If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Well, the Satanists are at it again. When are they not, right? Like little babies, they always pop their heads up, suing everyone they possibly can try to sue to get God's name removed from everything in America. That's really all that they stand for. Well, guess what now? Now the Satanists, as most of you have heard, at least in regards to the state flag in Mississippi, because of the movements that are occurring, they've decided to change the state flag. And well, it says in God we trust, and the Satanists, they don't like it. They're demanding that it be removed, or it says in Satan we trust. I kid you not.
This law student, Ethan Booker, told me as soon as the legislature decided to put in God we trust on whatever new design the state picks, that there was going to be another flag fight.
Yeah, I figured there would be opposition because, some people may see it as taking sides to certain, groups of people, like religious people or non-religious people.
The requirement to include the words was part of the legislation approved recently to remove the Confederate battle emblem from the state flag. In a letter to the Mississippi Attorney General, attorneys for the Satanic Temple argue that if the state flag is going to have a religious phrase, it should include reference to Satan.
From my understanding, I feel like that their argument is one that they're saying that the Confederate battle flag was a divisive symbol. And so they're thinking that Mississippi has taken one divisive symbol and switched it out for a divisive phrase.
Booker said while the Satanic Temple may sue, he does not think they will win because the use of the phrase "in God we trust" has been upheld by the Supreme Court on several occasions.
What it boils down to is Mississippi will probably make the argument that "in God we trust" is our motto that's on the state seal, and that this is part of a historical, cultural significance more than it is of a religious significance.
In the letter from their attorney, the Satanic Temple argues their 7 tenets are more consistent with Mississippian values than even the 10 Commandments. In Oxford, Tom Dees, Fox 13.
Well, I mean, it does kind of make sense in Satan we trust because this country is just nothing but a satanic cesspool. But this is what the Satanists do. In addition to their tactics that they use, like gang stalking people, bullying, but of course they don't call it bullying when they go after people who are victims of satanic ritual abuse. They actually show up at conventions where these people go to speak with one another about the abuse that they've gone through. They go there to mock them because that's really what good people do, right? And according to their 7 tenets or whatever they call these ridiculous rules that they follow, they should be not going after anybody doing that stuff. But that's their job. They have to deflect and make sure people think that Satanism and the Baphomet stand for an ideology, so to speak, and not Satan himself, because they claim they don't believe that Satan's a deity. Yet they still perform satanic rituals. They have an obsession with victims of SRA. They have a real obsession with Planned Parenthood and constantly going after people who are opposed to it. Interesting enough that, we all know that and what the fetuses mean to Satanists and people in the occult. So those are all interesting things. And then, of course, you have Baphomet, who's gender neutral, right? But that doesn't mean anything, right? The Baphomet with breasts and a penis, and we live in a society now that's completely removing genders. But this is what they're threatening. Mississippi's effort to change the state flag is getting pushback from Satanists. The Satanic Temple is threatening a lawsuit. And again, this is what they do. This is all they do. They constantly just sue. They have some satanic lawyer who works pro bono, so they don't have to pay the guy. They have him just suing everybody anytime God's mentioned because they say it's not fair and it's not religious freedom. It's discriminating against Satan. Oh, but they don't really believe in Satan. They sure put a lot of effort into this atheist belief that they claim to have, but wanting Satan's name written all over everything and the Baphomet shoved down everyone's throats. I mean, you imagine worshiping this thing? Look at this. I mean, it's a goat with breasts and a penis. I mean, how embarrassing. Anyway, the Satanic Temple's threatening to a lawsuit against the state of Mississippi after legislators called for the words, "In God We Trust," on any new flag design. Ole Miss law student Ethan Booker said as soon as the legislature decided to put "In God We Trust" in the flag, whatever design that may be, that there's going to be another flag fight. And he said, "I figured there'd be opposition because, some people may see it as taking sides being religious people or non-religious people," right? In a letter to Mississippi's general attorneys for the Satanic Temple argue if the flag is going to have a religious phrase, it should include references to Satan. From my understanding, they say, I feel like their argument is that the Confederate battle flag was a divisive symbol, and the state of Mississippi has switched it out for a divisive phrase. He said, while the Satanic Temple may sue, he does not think that they'll win, and said what it boils down to is Mississippi will probably make the argument that "In God We Trust" is their motto, and it is on the state seal, and of a historical and cultural significance more than of a religious significance. Well, that's exactly what they're going to do, the Satanists. They're going to even go after the state seal. This is what they do. The whole purpose of the Satanic Temple is to have God removed, the name God, Jesus, removed. That's what they're here for, to remove him. They're rolling around the Baphomet statue and things like that to put up at places where there's the 10 Commandments or anything else. Because all they want them to do is, at the end of the day, take down anything that references God. That's what their job is. And then they act and they pretend like they don't really worship Satan because their job is to deflect and bring up the satanic panic, these things, these psyops that the CIA created to deceive people into thinking all of this stuff is conspiracy and crazy when so many people have come forward, so many children have come forward with stories of things that they've gone through, torture, blood rituals. We're talking about 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds who couldn't possibly fathom making this stuff up, especially in the 80s. These kids don't have cell phones handed to them then. They're not actually watching some type of horror, gore movie. Those types of movies barely even existed then compared to now. I mean, yes, they had gore movies and movies filled with blood and things like that, but they wouldn't be able to conjure up these stories that they constantly are coming forward with. But the only thing they can do is go satanic panic. The kids were persuaded by the interviewers. They grabbed 2 dolls and they rubbed them on each other, and the kids were like saying, "Yeah, that's what he did." So that's not a real answer. I mean, just ridiculous stuff. These people are embarrassed to even admit that they worship Satan. Obviously, there's a bigger goal behind the Satanic Temple. The Satanic Temple is being funded. It doesn't have to pay taxes. I mean, we've seen this stuff, right? I've covered it before with Obama, green lighting and fast lining them so that they were looked at as a church or whatever, and so that they don't have to pay any type of taxes. I mean, you wonder how these people even pay rent on these buildings. Where's the income coming from? Well, they're just funded. They're funded by these other foundations and organizations. And they're always popping up on the news. They're always popping up. Oh, the Satanists are here. They're there. And they come out and they go, "We're here for equality. And we want, equal rights. And we want all this stuff." And all they do is mock Jesus. They dress up like, or the portrayal of what Jesus is supposed to look like. They walk around with upside down crosses. They, dump milk. I mean, just the stuff that they do is just it's so embarrassing to the human behavior that these people have. But hey, guess what? They're here, they exist, and a lot of people have been calling for the removal of the Baphomet statue. I said it when I did my video. You can't call for the removal of it because it's on private ground. They have the Baphomet statue like in their warehouse, and they roll it out whenever they have an opportunity to, because they find some religious statue or a Christian monument. And they want to say, look, if you're going to have that, you got to have this. And that forces the state governments to take down those, the 10 Commandments and things like that. And that's what they use it for, to just constantly remove Christianity from our society. That's the purpose of this organization. and to, of course, be a front and pretend like there's some type of atheist peace organization and, oh, they're here for political rights and they're a political movement. It's an utter joke. You could even see on their YouTube channels and on their websites them performing rituals. No joke, wearing the cloaks. Even if they're mock rituals, they're still performing them. I mean, I don't know what they're actually doing other than embarrassing their parents. But this is what goes on in the world, folks. So don't be surprised here in Babylon, America, that they're going to be demanding to put "In Satan We Trust" on the flag. Because this place is just completely fallen. It's fallen. People in other countries message me and they're like, I can't believe like that stuff is allowed. Oh, it's not only is it allowed here, it's embraced here. Mocking Jesus is what our culture has, it's become common culture around this country. They can get away with that, but you can't mock anyone else. You can't say a word about pride or it's bigotry, it's hate speech, but they could do what they want and say what they want. It's a joke. I want to remind everyone, please check out my website at callforanuprising.com. The insanity continues in this world. And again, it's a great place to be, great place to interact with other people, post your own videos, your own content, whatever you want. Interact with people. Free speech is protected over there. And I want to thank the people who are patrons to this channel. Because of you, it keeps it going. This world's just getting sicker by the day, folks. It's hard to stay positive, that's for sure. Living in this time period. It's just absolute hell on earth. I thank you again for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.